What has it been like? You've owned X for a year now.
Oh yeah.
Do you ever wake up in the middle of the night and have a dream that you didn't do it? And your life is infinitely easier?
Well, it's certainly a recipe for trouble, I suppose, or contention.
What was it ultimately that led you to make the decision to do it?
I mean, this is going to sound somewhat melodramatic, but I was worried about that it was having a corrosive effect on civilization.
Dang.
That it was just having a bad impact. And I think part of it is that it's where it was located, which is downtown San Francisco. And while I think San Francisco is a beautiful city, and we should really fight hard to kind of right the ship of San Francisco, if you've walked around downtown San Francisco, right near the FK Twitter headquarters, it's a zombie apocalypse. I mean, it's rough. Have you been in that area?
Not lately. No.
Yeah.
I've heard.
It's crazy.
I've heard it's crazy. I've heard you really can't believe it until you actually go there.
You can't believe it until you go there. So now you have to say, well, what philosophy led to that outcome? And that philosophy was being piped to Earth. So, a philosophy that would be ordinarily quite niche and geographically constrained, so that the fallout area would be limited, was effectively given an information weapon, information technology weapon to propagate what is essentially a mind virus to the rest of Earth. And the outcome of that mind virus is very clear if you walk around the streets of downtown San Francisco. It is the end of civilization.
Wow.
It's not just propagating the mind virus, but suppressing any opposing viewpoints.
They pass mental illness all on the internet.
To propagate it must suppress opposing viewpoints. So,
because it doesn't stand up to scrutiny.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, you've felt the virus. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. People have tried to cancel you so many times.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't think you're melodramatic at all. I think it's I mean, I don't want to be melodramatic, but it's almost like a death cult.
It's a death cult. That is exactly right. It's essentially the extinctionists. Like, it's in the limit. It is that they're propagating the extinction.
What is Joe Rogan supposed to be?
Some Puerto Rican baseball player.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I seen the flyer. I was like, okay, maybe he's like a Puerto Rican baseball player. All right.
The extinction of humanity and civilization. And there's some people who are like most of the time it's implicit. They don't but sometimes it's explicit. Like, there was a guy on the front page of the New York Times who literally has the thing called the Extinctionist movement. And he was quoted on the front page of the New York Times as saying, there are 8 billion people in the world, but it would be better if there were none. And I'm like, well, buddy, you can start with yourself.
Yeah. Does he have friends? That's what always fascinates me.
Well,
here he is.
That guy.
He looks like he's not long for this earth.
Yeah, he looked like a twigger.
Voluntary human extinction movement. That's hilarious. I'd like to party with that dude. I would just like to
that's an explicit version of the death cult.
Yeah, maybe live long
cult.
and die out.
It's not. The extinction is a word he uses.
Yes.
No, I mean, it's not it's literally a self-description.
Do they cover him glowingly?
Cult was in charge of social media.
Yeah.
And still largely is at Google and Facebook, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not in favor of human extinction. They are, and they can go to hell.
Well, that guy is.
Yeah, he can go to hell.
That guy seems silly. I would like to hang out with him, though. I would like to find out what makes him tick. I bet that guy is fascinating.
Might be the cause of COVID.
Well,
if you get him alone for a few days,
I'm in favor of. I'm pro-environment, but the in the limit, if you take environmentalism to an extreme, you start to view humanity as a plague on the surface of the earth, like a mold or something.
Right.
But this is actually false. The Earth could take probably 10 times the current civilization. The population you could 10x the population without destroying the rainforest. So the environmental movement, and I'm an environmentalist, has gone too far. They've gone way too far. If you start thinking that humans are bad, then the natural conclusion is humans should die out. Now, I'm headed to an international sort of AI safety conference later tonight, leaving in about 3 hours. I meet with the British Prime Minister, a number of other people. So you have to say, like, how could AI go wrong? Well, if AI gets programmed by the extinctionists, its utility function will be the extinction of humanity. So I mean, there are times when masks are warranted, but most of the time it's actually counterproductive.
Well, that was one of the things about the old Twitter.
Talk about
was
this was crazy.
The propaganda.
That's our robot.
This is the part I wanted to. This is the part that's crazy because what they're talking about is actually crazy. My grandmother actually died from what they're talking about.
Seriously?
Yeah.
What the heck?
Counterproductive.
Well, that was one of the things about the old Twitter was the propaganda and the adherence to whatever the CDC was saying and the dismissing of legitimate scientists, guys like Jay Bhattacharya from Stanford and legit guys.
Yes.
And they were suppressing them and even banning them. They banned Alex Berenson. I mean, it was wild. They banned Alex for essentially reading peer-reviewed papers.
Yeah. I mean, all Twitter was basically an arm of the government.
Yeah.
So
was that shocking? Like, what was that like? Because to me, that was the most bizarre. Was the Twitter files when you let Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi and all those guys get in the Twitter, and the response where Matt Taibbi gets audited. I mean, which is just wild. I mean, it's just so blatant and so in your face.
Yeah, it's weird. No, I mean, the degree to which, and by the way, Jack didn't really know this, but the degree to which Twitter was simply an arm of the government was not well understood by the public, and it was whatever the official government. I mean, it was like Pravda basically. Mm-hmm. A state publication is the way to think of old Twitter. It's a state publication.
And was the justification from their perspective that they are progressive liberals, they have the right intentions, it's important that they stay in power, the progressive liberals stay in government and power because this is their...
There was basically oppression of any views that would even, I would say, be considered middle of the road. But certainly anything on the right. I'm not talking about like far right. I'm just talking mildly right. The people like Republicans were suppressed at 10 times the rate of Democrats.
Wow.
Now that's because old Twitter was fundamentally controlled by the far left. It was like completely controlled by the far left.
Literally, that's exactly what I was about to say. When I was in high school, I was getting all my political views and everything, all my information off Twitter.
That was true.
Being fed all that shit.
All the viral
one side,
tweets.
and you I really used to be arguing with my family and my brother and all that because I was like, no, y'all don't know, but it's all some stupid shit I was fed on Twitter.
All the viral tweets on Twitter are liberal. Lots of liberal crying shit, man. And I'm like, now that I've gotten more knowledge and I've gotten older and done my own research, I'm starting to realize how victim-y and dumb the logic is. But at the time when I was younger and I was just going to school and I was impressionable, man, I was eating that shit up.
You thought everything was free?
I thought Trump was bad.
Me too.
I remember
when
Joe
Trump got
Biden
impeached,
was a good idea,
or impeached, or whatever they remember what they was on Twitter.
Get out of there.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, but why was I cheering? Yeah, I didn't know why. Because Twitter told me to.
Wow. Yeah, man. I've been on Twitter for a long time.
Me too.
Since I was before I was young, since I was too young to even be on there.
Yeah.
Fundamentally controlled by the far left. It was completely controlled by the far left, and that's why I say San Francisco, Berkeley is a niche ideology. It's hard to say is there a place that's more far left than San Francisco, Berkeley?
Maybe Portland,
but it's
right there.
It's those two places are the most far left places in America.
Yes.
So from their standpoint, everything is to the right, including moderates.
Right.
So now, if you internalize a far left position, everything seems wrong to you that is not far left.
Right.
That's real.
And so they naturally oppressed anything that didn't agree with their views. That's why I say that it was an accidental far left information weapon. So, because it's like Silicon Valley attracts the smartest engineers, the smartest sort of technologists and programmers from around the world. They created an information weapon that was then harnessed by the far left, who could not themselves create the weapon, but happened to be co-located where the technologists were.
It happened to be aligned politically with the people that possessed it.
That makes sense.
The technologists generally are about COVID. Moderate, maybe moderate left, but they're not far left. That's why I say San Francisco, Berkeley. It doesn't even extend to South San Francisco or even to Palo Alto. So SF Berkeley is the most far left. Perhaps in a competition with Portland, but I'd say SF Berkeley is more far left even than Portland. Literally in America, we're talking about an area that's maybe a 10-mile radius. And so normally the effects, the negative effects of a far left ideology would be geographically limited to a 10-mile radius. That's like not Twitter. It's small. So any bad effects of that ideology would be geographically constrained under normal circumstances and have been in the past. But when you have basically a technological megaphone, which was Twitter and social media in general, suddenly the far left are handed a megaphone to Earth, an incredibly powerful technology weapon that they themselves could not create, but they happened to be co-located with the technologists who created it by accident.
It's actually literally what
Is
happened.
it shocking that more people don't understand how dangerous that is?
I think some people understand.
Some people do.
Some people understand. So, I mean, from the standpoint of some of the people who used to be at Twitter, the people are like, well, it's a big shift to the right. That is correct. It is a shift to the right because everything is to the right if you're far left. Everything is to the right.
Yeah.
But how many far left people have actually been suspended or banned from Twitter, now X? 0. So it's really just moved to the center, but from the perspective of the far left, it's moved to the right. Wow. So like everything's relative.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn. That's a great way to put that.
The difference in moderation.
Sorry, I should say, it propagated that far left philosophy not just to America, but to everywhere on Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And with the same level of suppression in other countries as well.
About yes. How he said like.
But the Taliban is on Twitter.
I'll say it after.
What? Right?
Like I always think of like, hey, Mr. Taliban, tally me a banana. Hey, Mr. Taliban.
I mean, there's definitely some people on Twitter that are
daylight coming. I want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the point is from my standpoint that is that X, FK, Twitter should represent the sort of collective consciousness of humanity. So now that means that there are going to be views on there that you don't like or disagree with. But that's humanity.
Yeah.
So are you going to exclude them or not? Now, I mean, if somebody, breaks the law, then the account is suspended. I mean, if they actively advocate murder, then the account is suspended. We do have what we call like the kind of United Nations exclusion rule, which is that you can have, say, the Ayatollah, who, would prefer that Israel didn't exist, for example. But he's allowed to go to the UN building in New York. In fact, generally officials from Iran do in fact go to the UN building in New York, even though they're a heavily sanctioned country. So I think that there's merit to having, just like there's some merit to the UN. One can disagree with the UN, and I think we shouldn't have a world government that we bow down to. But In fact, that's risky for civilization. But I think you do want to have the leaders of countries represented on social media.
Wow. No, that was the most deepest shit I've ever seen.
Yeah, I think that was very informational.
I was thinking they were going to have the clip where they talked about how like COVID was the actual getting COVID wasn't as bad as like getting the shot and then putting people on ventilators. They said that killed more people than just getting COVID ever did.
Yeah,
and that's what
pharmacists told me that.
Yeah, that's when I said my grandmother died from that because they spoke about that. I saw that clip on Twitter and I was like, wow, like that's crazy. I thought that was gonna be on this, but I didn't know that this was.
I think any say I don't agree with some things. You do still have to at least hear them, or else it's control.
Yeah.
That's what we heard yesterday. We heard. I think Vivek said that before.
Yeah.
So even if that's happening on social media, it's a problem, man.
Man, that's a huge problem.
So Elon Musk buying Twitter
was genius. It was a great thing for humanity.
For the world.
That's insane to think about.
Yeah, I was gonna say for America, no, for the world.
Nah, seriously, it's crazy to think that we were almost like a few weekends away from seeing Elon, bro. If we would have went to EP,
we went 2 weeks earlier. We saw.
We might be able to still see him.
Yeah, we're gonna have to at some point in time we're gonna cross paths with him.
Yep,
I believe him.
I think that would be awesome. I think if we can sit and get a nice conversation with him, I think that'd be cool. Amazing.
Some people wouldn't think like that would be that much of a problem. Like, cause at first I wasn't really I was understanding how much of a problem it could have been, but
it's
now
mind control.
At the end of the video,
it's
I'm just
mind
like,
control. You control
you're controlling
opinions
the public
of the youth.
opinion. You're controlling the stuff people see and
let's
digest.
make these kids think our way. Let's make them think not the way their parents think and how they're raised to think.
Yeah, that's why Trump was trying to get rid of TikTok.
No, that's not why he was trying to get rid of TikTok.
I thought he was trying to get rid of TikTok because they're trying to own it, and he said it felt like it's mind manipulation.
Well, yeah, there's that, but they're just trying to get rid of it because in their privacy policy, like all the stuff you agree to, like they can see your keystrokes.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
They can hear your microphone.
And they're using that stuff to push. Like I heard that too. That they had an agenda of pushing like making Americans dumber. So like on our TikTok, we'll see what we see, and then in China, they showing the math problems and shit.
I did hear that as well, but I think the thing they cited the most, like, was they were using the most was like privacy problems.
Yeah, because we'll even speak about some shit and see it on TikTok.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Rogan is doing what the people need, guys. We are out of here. We appreciate it. Let us know what y'all think what Elon said.